The other day, a buddy and I sat down to watch Death Machine, a 1994 futuristic horror movie about the coolest and edgiest hacker known to man, who gets fired from his job and releases a killer robot on the executives as retribution. It wasn't supposed to be good. In fact, it had a pretty low rating, but it was supposed to take place in a gray-toned futuristic world made of metal and politics. So imagine our surprise when the movie opened with three pairs of men all dueling each other to discover who would come out on top and become a legendary assassin known as a Death Machine. It was immediately clear that we had selected the wrong movie, but the intro was goofy, poorly choreographed, and incredibly over the top, so we were hooked. The movie that fate had chosen for us was the 1976 film Death Machines. You see, there's an S there. And it's an action thriller starring real martial art masters as three super assassins doing incredibly bad martial arts and killing anyone that their boss, Madam Lee, instructs. Also, we did end up watching Death Machine after Death Machines. I'll put a little mini review of that at the end of this video. According to the synopsis, these three assassins were given an injection of a serum that makes them zombie-like in nature. But nowhere in the movie was that made clear. Like, they all get shot at times, but a detective says that it didn't affect the assassins due to bulletproof vests or something. But we don't see any vests at any point either, so the truth is really anyone's guess. Really quick also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. So, Death Machines opens with a mob dude trying to assassinate his business partner and a dojo sensei, who is secretly also dealing narcotics in direct competition to the mobster. Unfortunately, the Death Machines are the only assassins allowed to operate in the city. They take down the other assassins by tossing one of them off of the roof of a skyscraper and blowing the other one up with a freaking rocket launcher. They also take out the mob man's contractor by squishing him with a tractor in a phone booth. Like, dude, there's a door right there, man. Just walk out. You could just walk out, get away from the tractor, but he stays, he dies. Madam Lee then contacts the mob man and tells him that she runs all of the assassinations in town and refuses any competition. She offers her services to the mob man for a partnership, and to show an example of her assassin skills, she kills the mob man's driver.
You took my driver, I took your waiter. Just to make things even.
With negotiations all settled, it's time for the Death Machines to get killin'. This scene was wild. In the middle of a karate class, the assassins jump through the window and attack. They begin slicing and dicing, killing multiple students with a single swipe multiple times. It's so funny. It's pure insanity, and in the middle of it, the Death Machines cut off this one dude's hand, and they think he's dead, so they move on to the sensei. The sensei tries to fight back, but he ends up slicing into a wire on the wall and electrocuting himself to death. So the assassins leave with the sound of sirens in the near distance. As I mentioned, the newly de-handed man lives, and he becomes the closest thing the movie has to a main character. The Death Machines weren't supposed to let any witnesses survive, so they're instructed to go to the hospital to take out the single-handed survivor. Also, in the hospital, we get an introduction to a few detectives and a nurse that acts as the very disappointed love interest. In the night, the Death Machines strike. And I thought it was funny how they got this elaborate disguise of a doctor and a nurse and a body, only to end up screaming before they attack and alerting everyone in the hospital that they're there. The Death Machines run into the room and stab what they think is the one-handed man. We learned later that it's really just a bunch of pillows under a blanket.
It's an old trick. Yeah, but your idea worked.
Before they can get away, the policeman on duty shoots the white Death Machine, and that's actually what he's credited as, alright? That's not just my personal description of this character. He's called the White Death Machine. The shots in the chest do nothing, so the cop aims for the head, and it ends up working. The one-handed man makes a full recovery and visits his old dojo, and the nurse meets him there and flirts it up. The dialogue is absolute nonsense here, it's all just stiff line reading, and the glove-handed man asks if she wants to go to the bar that he works at to hang out while he works, or something like that. At the police department, we get a super long, weird scene about how the main detective hasn't completed some HR training or something. So his case is being given to this skinny dude who is the main detective's rival.
Of course, I've already taken my class. Can't you tell by the way my personality's improved?
In the interrogation room, the assassin starts being weird. So in the biggest brain play of the century, the sidekick detective decides to take off the man's handcuffs. This obviously doesn't go well, and the death machine goes ballistic and kills everyone that he can in the police department. Except for the few officers that get shot by their own men here. Like this dude, it was kind of believable that he got shot because the assassin was using him as a human shield, but then he gets shot again. Like his fellow officers kept shooting. It's so stupid, and it made me laugh. The assassin gets out of the police department and roundhouse kicks this poor driver right in the face. He then tries to escape, but apparently he's a terrible driver because he crashes twice. I guess he was able to escape on foot though, because the next time we see him, the assassin has made it into a little diner. The owner gives him a free burger and a stack of religious pamphlets, but the nice moment is ruined when a bunch of hooligans come in and start making a ruckus.
That guy's a pig. Can't you smell it? Ugh, bad. Hey.
A fight begins and the hooligans actually seem to be winning the fight, but who's that at the door?
Just reach out and touch it. So if you send in $5.99 now, the 3D full color phone.
The death machines are all reunited and they easily take out the hooligans.
Hey, come on over here. Hey,
The one-handed man and the nurse are chilling in the bar, and this part killed me. They've hired a dancer for the bar, and there must have been some kind of a disconnect between the music and the actress or something, because her dancing to this song is so funny and just plain wrong. I burst out laughing. A drunk dude starts making trouble in the bar, and this is the part where you're like, oh, time for the one-handed man's karate training to come into play, right? Like, he's gonna get up and he's gonna start beating the troublemakers, right? No, wrong. He gets the crap beat out of him, and he's left beaten on the bar table. To comfort him, the nurse invites him over to her place, and they start smooching, and then we hard cut to them both looking hilariously disappointed. Somewhere in the middle of all of this, Madam Lee decides that it's time to take out the mob man's business partner as well. She doesn't want to use the death machines because they're starting to act up just a little bit. So she uses her lackey to go and do it for them. And it goes fine. They kidnap the guy's daughter, they try to blackmail him, and then they end up using a Buddha covered in TNT to blow him and his bank to smithereens. The one-handed man and the nurse go for a drive, and they just so happen to see the death machines driving to another contract. So the one-handed man kicks the nurse out of the car and tells her to call the cops before he drives off to follow the assassins. I guess Madam Lee decided that the relationship with the mob man just isn't working out. They wait for his latest delivery via plane, but when he tries to take off again, we get another look at that rocket launcher and watch as they blow the plane, also to smithereens. One Handy Andy follows the death machines back to their headquarters, but there's trouble in Assassin Paradise. Madam Lee decides that the death machines are becoming too unpredictable and orders her lackey to kill them all. And that goes as well as you'd expect. One Hand walks in to find the lackey dead and the detectives show up a bit later to take over, but the death machines are nowhere to be found. It turns out they've gone to the airport and they buy flights to somewhere else, I guess. And yeah. That's where the movie ends. It's such a wild and nonsensical movie. The plane explosion was cool, and there were a lot of parts that made me laugh, but yeah, Death Machines was definitely one of the movies of all time. So now to Death Machine, the movie that we had initially planned to watch. This one's gonna be much less in depth. The movie was bad. It was funny to watch at times, but mostly it was just bad. there's a hacker named Dante, and the supporting cast were all named after Alien films, with Scott Ridley, Yutani, and Wayland. Oh, and there's also a dude named Sam Raimi and one named John Carpenter. So I guess they're not all Alien, it's just homages, but it was a weird choice. So Dante is like what people thought hackers were like in the early 2000s. He's edgy and he's cool and he's smarter than everyone else in the whole world, and he'll be able to take your whole life from you with the single press of a key. But also he's immediately in love with the main character and CEO of the company that he works for, and the only reason that we really get is because she's a woman. He's so edgy that the CEO ends up firing him, so he gets angry and he releases a killer robot that he's been working on in secret. People die, we're told things happen, sometimes we're shown things happening, there's a RoboCop suit.
Stay close!
And this cop gets smooshed.
Holy donuts!
The main good guy team end up defeating Dante by having the CEO pretend that she likes him now, and that allows her to take away his machine controller, and then they lock him in a big vault and he dies, and that's the end. It was a rough one. So there you go. The Death Machine duology 2-in-1 video palooza. I had fun, and that's it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to support the channel even more, then I did just open up the membership program, so if you want to become a YouTube member, it's only $2.99 a month, and you'll get a credit at the end of all these videos, and my everlasting thanks, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, until next time, you guys all stay safe out there, and happy watching. Bye-bye.